Hi, and welcome to StyleMachine. This is a bit of a walkthrough to show you what the program can do and kind of introduce you to its functionality. So basically, StyleMachine is a Max for Live device that runs obviously in Ableton Live. It has an accompanying application that needs to be open. The application actually doesn't do anything or it has no user interface. But it reflects the things that are going on in the device. It actually does all the heavy lifting and all the calculation, and both of them have to be open for it to work. So here we have the device, StyleMachine, and it's sitting in one of the tracks of the pre-provided template, the Ableton Live template. It needs to sit in one of these tracks, and these instruments are pre-made. They contain Ableton Live instruments already made for you. You can see here the beat, 2 auxiliary percussion, the bass, 2 synths, monophonic synths, and polyphonic pads, keys, drone, and an ancillary instrument. And so the way it works is that StyleMachine has a number of tracks of actual music that have been analyzed, hand analyzed, and they include 24 breakbeat tracks and 25 house tunes, and they've been subdivided, you can see here, by date. And we use machine learning algorithms on them to derive some data, information on how the music is put together. And so you can select what tracks you're actually going to be using when you're generating within StyleMachine. So now I'm just going to be using some of the early breakbeat tracks. And the easiest way to get going is once I have this selected, and we can see that when I change one of the few user interface items here, the complexity slider or the density, that is reflected here in the application as well. That just lets you know that the two are communicating. So I've selected something, and now just to see if it's working, I'm going to click on Generate Phrase. We see some information coming back, and then it quickly generated something. So what happened there is it generates these very first set of clips in the first clip slot here. It generated the beat, the 2 percussion parts, the bass, and the melodic synth part here. And you can see that it actually does generate the MIDI data associated with those different tracks. And you can go in, of course, and edit any of that information. So why did it generate these specific parts? Well, you don't have control over what was initially generated. It's based upon the density selector here. So if I have a very low density and try regenerating, we'll see there'll be so you can see that fewer tracks were generated, and also just not as much information, not as many onsets were generated. If I have high density and try and do it again, just a lot more things going on. The other thing that hopefully you'll notice is that it's not using some pre-designed templates to get you going. It is actually generating new material every single time. So if I generate something right now with these specific settings, and I generate it again, something that should be quite different, well, not quite different because it's still using the same corpus, but something that is different should be generated. You can see this is generating a phrase every single time, and when I turn it off, it stops playing. This little button here will just allow me to start playing it again. Now you'll see that there are some grooves, some pre-made grooves for you. So if I just want to try it with a different groove, it actually is happening. It actually applies the groove not during the play but during the calculation. So and actually to hear this with a different groove, I have to start it up again. Okay, so let's say I have something now that I really like. So listen to that again. And you notice that 8 bars are actually generated. Okay, let's say I really like that. So now when I hit generate all, when I click this, what's going to happen is it's going to generate the entire composition using that as the sort of main chorus element. So generate all. Tell me here, generating the form, the fills, and the parts. And you can see it's actually continuing to generate. So now we're in the A section. You can see we have A, B, C, D, and E sections. An intro, a lead-in, a chorus, a breakdown, and the lead-out. You can see it automatically switches to the next part. And as I said before, the parts, we can see here, here's the bass part. It comes in on the fourth phrase, and there's the actual bass part that we can edit it if we don't like it. The white tracks mean there's nothing there. Now, if there's a part that we don't like, let me just go back, let me just clear all of that and just show you how you can redo some parts. So let me now say I want to do some house music, so I'm going to use the entire house database, put in a house groove, and generate that phrase. Let's say I didn't really like the auxiliary percussion part there, so I can just click it. And it actually has generated a new part. So turn that off, try it again. Let's select a part maybe that's a little bit more obvious. Okay, so now I'm going to regenerate that. Listen to it all together. So clicking on any of the individual part names here will regenerate that part. Now what's interesting is that you can change things. So this was generated with a fairly low complexity and fairly low density. Let's say that I want to add in a key part, some keys, but I want to have it a really dense key part. So now when I regenerate something, it will actually take these sliders, the new parameters, into account. So I'll generate a key part, add that in, and so a fairly dense key part. And I can do style mixing as well. So if I mix some early breakbeat and early house together, and let's say it's fairly sort of halfway complexity, half density, and the length determines how many different phrases are going to be generated right now. So just to see what it's going to sound like, I will generate a fairly short piece, and first I actually have to generate the phrase to hear it. Okay, so I kind of like that, but I want to add in a key part and maybe a melodic synth part as well. Now, when I click Generate All, what it's going to take these specific instruments being on in these parts, that's the most dense part of the whole tune. That's going to be the chorus section. So when I generate all, it's going to build up to that. So now I'm generating a new form, adding some fills in. So here's a little fill that happened at the end of that phrase. Now we're in the B section. We're going to go right to the breakdown next. So in this case, the only thing that happened in the breakdown, it dropped out one of the auxiliary percussion parts. The bass is going to come in now, the next 8-part phrase. So of course, it's using the sounds and the signal processing that has been provided in the template, but I can go in there and change any of the parts. So you can see here the main beat is actually consisting of 4 different parts: the kick, snare, the closed hat, and the open hi-hat. And I can go in and I can edit things if I just want to, for this particular part here, get rid of that part. I can do that. Okay, and I can change the sounds as well. So here the bass part is the woofer loving bass, and I can select a different timbre. I could bring in my own, native instruments or Rector synth and play that. So these are just provided for you to get you going. Okay, so that's a quick introduction to StyleMachine. Let us know what you think. You can contact us through metacreation.net. And this is the light version. A pro version is coming out. The big difference is going to be that there will be extra corpus, extra tunes that you can load in, as well as the ability to load in your own music and have it analyzed and become part of the corpus. So stay tuned for more versions of StyleMachine. Thanks for watching.